The wall next to her head broke from his punch. "Don't you know who I am?" Kim Woo-jin shouted, sounding really upset. Zara's breath stopped, quick and weak. One moment, she was strolling in the hospital hallway. The next, she was stuck there, his body getting near, not touching, just so close that warmth came from him in slow, heavy rolls. Way too close. The gap between them seemed on purpose, in control, like he was checking how small a space it took to make her fall apart. His voice was quiet, scary, the type that made her tummy sink and her heart beat fast in ways that weren't about being afraid. Not mad, upset, and somehow that seemed worse. "How could you not know me?" He got closer, and she could smell him. Fancy, perfume mixed with something deeper that made her breath stop. "How could you forget?" His other hand came up, trapping her fully. She was caught between cold wall and warm body, and her body forgot how to work. "This hospital," he said, his eyes staring hard into hers. "That bed, the scar on your wrist." His eyes went to her left wrist, and the strong look made her skin get hot. When he looked at her like that, like he wanted to eat her and wreck her and adore her altogether, it took all her strength not to show it. "Those eyes," he whispered, and she felt the words on her lips, even though he hadn't gotten closer. Almost close enough that one breath, one weak second, she kept her face empty, mixed up, scared. But inside, her heart was pounding so loud she was sure he could hear it, could probably feel it. Kim Woo-jin, the man whose name made rooms get quiet, was shaking. She could feel the shake in his arm, see it in the fast beat at his neck. His eyes were crazy, looking over her face like he could see past every fake story she'd made. Fine. He didn't step back, didn't give her room. Instead, he reached into his coat and took out something pink. A scarf, old, not bright anymore, folded like it had been held 1,000 times. He held it between them. "What about this?" he asked. Her eyes got big before she could stop them. "It's yours, isn't it?" His voice was almost a whisper now. He was so close she could see the dark change in his eyes. "You wore it here." His fingers touched her left wrist, just the lightest touch, and a spark went up her arm. The touch was soft, respectful, totally different from how he'd hit the wall, with how his body was tight, like he might snap. She couldn't talk. His fingers were still on her wrist, thumb pressing softly on the old scar, and she felt it all over. "Tell me you know," he breathed, his face so close, his lips almost touched her cheek. "Tell me I didn't make it up. Tell me you felt it, too." She said nothing. He stared at her, and the anger in his eyes changed to something worse. Sadness mixed with wanting, mixed with strong need that should have been against the rules. His gaze went to her lips, stayed there. His own lips opened, and she felt her body answer. Warmth building low, her breath coming quicker. For one long moment, she thought he might kiss her, might close that gap and break her totally. Instead, he made a sound deep in his throat. Something hurt, and pushed away so fast, she almost fell. Then he turned and walked away, back straight, one hand holding that pink scarf like it was the only thing keeping him okay. Zara let out the breath she'd been holding for 15 years, her legs shaking, her body still buzzing from where he touched. But how did a regular maid become the big crush of Seoul's scariest mafia boss? To get that, we have to go back a bit in time. 15 years ago, Seoul's fancy school looked more like a fancy hotel. Marble halls, students whose dads' names opened, doors, teachers who knew not to ask stuff. Kim Woo-jin moved through it like he owned the air. His dad controlled shipping paths, buildings, half the meeting rooms in Seoul. Woo-jin was 18, and the world was made for him to take over. He wasn't the loud bully type. He was worse, the quiet type who never yelled because everyone already knew their spot. One look and you got your place. His dad's driver had a daughter, Chisaram. Zara was pretty in a way that made people look, then look away. Shy. She went there on a scholarship. Woo-jin's dad paid for her as a tax thing. She was everything he wasn't. Loud when she didn't agree. Stubborn way too much. She didn't back down when he came in. She looked right at him every time, like she was challenging him to speak. He hated it. At least that's what he told himself when he couldn't figure out why he kept looking for her in busy halls. The other girls made Zara's life bad with planned mean stuff, whispered things that made her walk faster, cut her bag straps, stole her homework, wet her books. One afternoon, one of them held Zara's wrist against a metal rail and pulled until skin broke and blood went to her elbow. The scar never went away. What they didn't know, Wu Jin had no clue it was going on. When he found out, that girl spent 3 weeks in the hospital with hurts no one could explain. The school didn't ask stuff. Her parents didn't push charges. Everyone got that some lines had forever results. Wu Jin never told anyone, never said it to Zara, just kept watching her with something growing in his chest he couldn't name. Her fight got to him, the way she looked at him, not with fear, but with this strong stare that said, "I see exactly what you are, and I'm not impressed." No one had ever looked at him like that. He found himself thinking about her at weird times during his dad's meetings in the car, lying awake, wondering what she was doing, if she was okay, if she'd stare at him with those fiery eyes tomorrow. He didn't get it then, too young, too full of himself, too wrapped in his world. But Zara got it because she'd had a crush on him first, not for his looks or money like half the other girls at school. For his mind, how he argued in class and made teachers stop, the grace in how he moved, like he'd been made to fill rooms. That rare laugh when he thought no one heard. She'd fallen quietly, secretly, desperately, for someone she could never have until she learned what his family could do. Zara's dad found something about Wu Jin's dad, a crime done for money hidden deep. He told on it. Wu Jin's family answered, the only way they knew, not with a bullet, something more bad. A fight that left him in hospital. Dr. Bilzat buried the family in huge debt. The job gone, the scholarship gone, everything wrecked overnight. Zara watched it happen, watched her dad come home broken, her mom cry over bills they couldn't pay, her brother lose the happy spark in his eyes the afternoon their stuff was thrown in the streets. Then she looked at Wu Jin differently. The crush didn't go away. That was the mean part. It stayed like smoke after fire, stubborn and not wanted. She hated herself for it. If you're still watching, hit subscribe. You're going to want to be here for what comes next. On Wu Jin's 18th birthday, his family lost everything. Not slowly, all at once. His dad's big business fell under checks, debts, backstabs, the house taken, cars taken back, the whole self he'd built gone. His friends vanished faster than the money. The boys who'd laughed at his jokes stopped answering calls in a week, just moved on like he'd never been. 18 and totally alone. Months later, walking home through a dark street, they came, 4 of them, old friends who'd smiled at parties and meant nothing. One hit him from behind. He went down hard, planned, set up. They took turns. One held while another kicked. He'd said mean things about his dad, about how long they'd waited for this. The knife came last, cold like a key in a lock, then warmth, spreading too fast. They stepped back and watched him bleed. See if Daddy can buy his way out of this one. Then they left. Wu Jin stared at the sky, feeling his life leak out. He thought this was right, the world paying the bill. The edges of his sight went dark, pain getting far. Then footsteps, running, someone yelling his name. A face showed, dark eyes strong even in fear, hands pressing hard on his wound. "Zara, stay with me, you stubborn idiot," she begged with tears in her eyes. He woke in a hospital bed. She was in the chair next to him, not crying, not praying, just watching with that hard turid face. Why? His throat was sore, his side, like broken glass. "Why did you help me?" She looked at him for a long time, then shrugged. "Not everyone has to be a monster like you and your family," she answered. The words hit something deeper, something true he'd been running from. He really looked at her then, the girl who had every reason to let him die but chose to save him, whose dad his family wrecked, whose life they ruined. and he got it with painful clearness. He was in love with her, had been for a long time. His eyes went to her left hand, the scar thin and pale across her wrist. And there, a small pink scarf tied loosely. Simple, cheap, but worn carefully. He wanted to reach out, touch it, touch her, tell her everything he'd never said. Her phone rang. 1 second. She was calm. The next, color left her face. Daddy has collapsed. Then louder, panicked. Daddy has collapsed. She stood so fast, the chair scraped. The scarf at her wrist caught on the bed rail, slipped. She didn't notice. Already running. The pink fabric settled in his palm. He stared at it long after she left, then closed his fingers around it and made a promise. He'd become great again on his own. No family name, no money from before, build from nothing. Pay every debt her family owed, every bill, every mark of hurt. Then find her, not as the boy who ignored her pain, not as the son who wrecked her dad, as someone different, someone good enough. 1 year of hard work, building at dawn, night jobs in storage places, worked until his hands bled, his body yelled, kept going because every scar was one step closer. When he had enough for her debts, he went back. The apartment was empty. They'd moved months ago. No address, no number. Back to Nigeria, someone said, where they had no enemies. Wu Jin stood there holding the scarf, feeling the ground move. She was gone, but he kept working, kept climbing, built a big group, one tough deal at a time. The Dragon Brotherhood became Seoul's scariest group. He led with smart toughness that made people follow even when scared. And through all of it, through every deal and every talk and every night in offices that smelled like fancy whiskey, he searched hard through Nigeria for her, through all of West Africa. 14 years. 14 years of searching. Dead ends, wrong paths, clues that went nowhere. He had people just for finding her. Spent lots of money on it. Never stopped. The woman who saved his life and had stolen his heart 15 years ago until tonight. The night where everything changed. Now, how did a regular maid, the daughter of his dad's driver, become the one weak spot Seoul's most dangerous man could never get rid of? She was supposed to hate him. His family wrecked hers, left her dad broken, left her life in mess. Loving him was never supposed to happen. And saving him that night should have been her last mistake, because the boy she saved did not just live. He became strong, tough, hard to touch, and never stopping while searching for her across lands. She thought she got away from his world. She was wrong, because tonight fate is about to put her 6 feet away from the man who never stopped looking for her. Let me take you back to the night Kim Woo Jin finally saw her after 15 years of searching. The night Zara, a tired waitress stuck in doctor debt and family duties, served the table of the most tough mafia boss in Seoul, but even worse, her big enemy. Welcome to Afro-Korean Romance Stories. If you are new here, hit subscribe and join this family. We do not do safe love stories here. If you are ready for dangerous pull, forbidden romance, and men who would burn down cities for the Black Queen they lost, drop a like and comment Destiny below. Now, let us go back to the night everything changed. The wine glass slipped from Woo Jin's fingers and broke on the floor. His sound went through Seoul's fanciest restaurant, the kind where the menu has no prices and nothing ever breaks. Talks stopped, heads turned. His men moved forward right away, voices mixing, someone pushing a napkin to his bleeding hand. He didn't hear any of it. His eyes were fixed on her, on the waitress who'd just put down his plate, on her left wrist, on the scar, on the face he'd spent 14 years trying to find. She was already stepping back, surprised by the noise, reaching for a cloth to clean up. Like a pro, careful, trying not to get noticed. She didn't know him. Something had changed in the air the moment she'd come to his table, a feel he hadn't felt in years, suddenly strong. He'd smelled her before he'd seen her clear. His whole body had gone still. His hand had tightened on the wine glass. Then he'd looked down at her hand, at that scar, and the glass had slipped. "Sir, your hand." Woo Jin stood. His business friend said something. He didn't hear it, didn't care. She moved fast through the restaurant, going through a door marked staff only. He followed without thinking, without a word, leaving the table, the deal, the blood dripping from his hand. Nothing else mattered. She was here, alive, just a few feet away, and she had no idea who he was, or so he thought. The back hallway was narrow and dim. Storage rooms, a kitchen door. She wasn't there. He looked, checked every door, every spot, nothing. He was about to go back when he heard it. A quiet sound from behind a heavy door at the end of the hall. A woman fighting, a man's voice, low and scary. Wu Jin opened the door. Zara was pushed against the wall. A man in black had his hand around her throat, holding her there like she was light. She was fighting, scratching at his wrist, but he was bigger and stronger and clearly didn't care. "I'll get your money by Friday," she was saying through tight teeth. Hard to breathe. "Just give me until Friday." "You better," the man added, his hold getting tighter, "or all the money you've been spending on your father's surgery is going to be wasted because I'll end him." Something cold and final settled in Wu Jin's chest, the kind of calm that comes right before something very bad happens. "Do you have a death wish?" His voice filled the room like a change in air. The man turned, looked at Wu Jin with small bother. "Mind your business. This is a private talk." He reached into his coat and pulled out a gun, holding it loose at his side, like showing a bill, not scary, telling. But Wu Jin didn't move, didn't even blink. He moved fast, faster than someone his size should. He crossed the room in 2 steps and had the man's arm locked behind his back before the gun was up. Slammed him against the wall. The weapon fell to the floor. The man fought. "You don't know who you're?" Wu Jin pulled the collar of his own coat down just enough to show the tattoo on his neck. A dragon, black ink, detailed, easy to know. The man went totally still. The color left his face so fast it was almost funny. "The Dragon Brotherhood," he stammered. I didn't know, obviously." Wu Jin twisted his arm until the man let out a sharp cry as a crack went through the air. He held it there at the edge of breaking and let the quiet grow. Then he eased the pressure just a bit. Just the moment. He noticed Zara watching from against the wall. Her hand was at her throat. Her eyes were wide. He stopped, pulled out a checkbook from his coat with his free hand. Calm, not rushed, like this was normal. "How much does she owe?" The man swallowed. "Hard. 196 million won." Wu Jin began writing. The check ripped through the quiet like a knife. He was halfway through when Zara moved. She crossed the room in 3 quick steps and slapped the pen out of his hand. The checkbook flew from his grip and slid across the floor. "What are you doing?" she demanded. In that same moment, the man in black took his chance. He pulled free, stumbled past both of them, and went through the door without looking back. His footsteps faded into the hall and then nothing. The room went quiet, just the 2 of them. Zara turned to him, and there it was, that stare, the same one from the halls 15 years ago. Strong, not afraid, looking right through him like she could see every layer he'd built, and wasn't impressed by any. "The hell are you?" she asked. Wu Jin's eyes followed hers as they went to the tattoo, still showing at his collar. He quickly tugged his coat closed, hiding it. He couldn't let her see, not yet. If she knew who he was, she'd run. He was sure of it. "Your knight in shining Armani," he said, brushing fake dust off his sleeve. "Though I have to say, the girl in trouble thing could use some work. Most people say thank you first." "That's not an answer, no, but it was a good way to change the topic." He leaned against the wall, casual, despite the blood on his hands. "Y'all, was this not thankful to people who save your life, or am I special?" He tilted his head, looking at her neck. The bruises were already showing, dark and mad against her skin. His blood got hot right away. He reached toward her neck, his fingers just above the hurt. She slapped his hand away hard. "Don't touch me." The words hurt more than they should. He swallowed it. "You need to see a doctor," he said. "Mind your goddamn business." She turned and walked out. He followed her out of the back room, through the staff hall, out a side exit, and into the soul night. The air was cold, and she walked fast, weirdly, like she was trying to get ahead of something. Him, the mess, maybe herself. He kept up easy, hands in pockets, and for the first time in 14 years, he smiled. Not a smirk, not the controlled look he wore in meetings. A real smile, the kind that came from deep and warm and totally open. He had found her after everything. After 14 years of looking and failing and not stopping, she was here, walking 10 feet ahead of him on a soul sidewalk, mad and bruised and alive. Zara stopped suddenly and turned around. "Are you following me? You need doctor help?" "On your neck, he began. I said, "Mind your goddamn business." Her eyes got narrow. "Who are you? Why do you keep following me?" Before he could answer, his men showed up, 3 of them coming from the crowd like shadows finding their boss. "Sir, we've been looking everywhere for you. Where have you been?" "Are you?" Day said. Wu Jin's face changed right away. He turned to them with a deadly stare so sharp it could cut glass. "Are you stupid or something?" he snapped. "Leave." They waited for exactly 1 second, then stepped back. He turned back to where Zara had been standing. She was gone. He looked, checked every face on the street, every alley, every door to every building he could see. Nothing. She had vanished as fully as she had 15 years ago. His jaw got tight. He pulled out his phone and called his security head. Find her. Everything. Where she lives, where she works, who she owes money to. All of it. His men gave the info in 48 hours. Zara had already quit the restaurant. She was running, of course. She was running. She was smart. She'd always been smart. But she was also in debt. Deep debt. The kind that followed you across countries and years. Her dad's doctor bills had never stopped. The surgery that kept him alive after Wu Jin's family broke him needed years of checkups. Each one cost more than the last. Each bill added to the pile. Over 14 years, the debt grew to over 500 million won from several lenders. With extra, it was a number made to choke. Wu Jin read every page of her money history. Sitting alone in his office at 3 o'clock in the morning, the pink scarf wrapped around his left hand, and for the first time in years, he felt something open up in his chest. This was his fault. All of it. 3 days later, Wu Jin went fast into a top apartment on the 62nd floor of one of Seoul's fanciest towers, the kind where everything was white and costly and looked set for a magazine photo. Lee Hai-jin was sitting on the sofa with a glass of wine, legs crossed, looking easy pretty in the way women who spend lots to look easy always do. She looked up when he came in and smiled like she'd been waiting. She wasn't. She never was. "Wu Jin, you're early," she jumped. "My father called me this morning." He didn't sit. He didn't take off his coat. He stood in the middle of a living room like he was asking questions, announced our engagement to everyone. Hai-jin set her wine down and stood, fixing her dress. "Finally, it's about time. Honestly, 5 years in a relationship is a long time to wait. 5 years." Wu Jin said the words, like tasting something bad. "Is that what you've been calling this? A relationship? What else would you call it?" she asked. "When did I ever ask you out? When have I ever taken you on a date on purpose? When have I ever once called you my girlfriend?" His jaw closed tight. Hai-jin walked toward him slowly, on purpose. She'd put her hand on his arm and looked up at him with the fake softness of someone who had practiced this. "This is a family setup, Wu Jin. This is how it should be. Our families have been planning this since we were kids. It's good for both of us," she said. "Good for both of us." You sound like a news statement. He looked down at her hand on his arm like it was something that got there without ask. "I sound like someone who gets how the world works. Our families need each other, yours more than mine. You don't have to love me. You just have to show up." Her smile didn't change. Before he could answer, the kitchen door opened and a woman in a maid uniform came in with a tray. Wu Jin's eyes went to her and everything stopped. Zara moved across the room, quiet and good, setting the tray on the side table without looking up. She was focused on the job, careful, invisible like workers learn to be. But he saw her, Every bit. The way she held the tray with both hands. The way her jaw was tight with focus. The bruises on her neck badly covered with a bandage that was way too small and too clear. Hai-Jin. His voice came out steadier than he felt. Is she your maid? Hai-Jin looked at Zara like not important. Yes, she started a couple days ago. She's okay. Okay. Wu Jin crossed the room before Zara could turn away. He stopped right in front of her. She looked up and for one tiny second something showed in her eyes. Knowing, fear. Then it was gone. Changed to the empty, careful nothing of someone who learned to hide awe. He didn't care about that. He reached for her neck. She tried to pull back, but his hand was already there, soft but firm, tilting her chin just enough to see the bandage. It was sadly small, a strip of white cloth barely covering a bit of the bruises. The edges of the hurt showed all around, dark and swollen. His jaw got tight about it. His voice dropped cold and sharp. You put a damn band-aid on this and thought, what? It would heal by magic? He didn't wait for an answer. See. His eyes went to Hai-Jin and the room felt colder. You hired her looking like this? He asked. Hai-Jin blinked. I didn't notice. Of course, you didn't. The words came out like a hit. He turned back to Zara and took her arm. Not rough, but with a hold that said she wasn't going anywhere. This needs stitches, a hospital, nor whatever bad first aid you think will work. Let go of me, Zara said through her teeth. No, I'm not going anywhere with you. Yes, you are. He led her out of the top apartment, past a quiet Hai-Jin into the private lift. Zara fought him the whole way down, pulling at his hold, twisting her arm, saying let her go. His hand didn't move. The car was waiting outside. He opened the door and put her in with a kind of firm, no-nonsense power that left no room for talk. She sat stiff in the back seat, arms crossed, staring mad at him, with all she had. It was the prettiest thing he had ever seen. Where are you taking me? She demanded. The hospital. Something changed in her face, hard to see, but he caught it. He told the driver the address. The same hospital, the same part. He asked for the exact bed, the one in room 412, the one where she had sat next to him 15 years ago while he bled, and she wouldn't leave. The doctors fixed her neck quick, cleaned it, put real bandages, asked how it happened, and she said she'd fallen, which made Wu Jin's jaw tight, but he let it go for now. When they were done, Zara stood right away, reaching for her coat. I'm leaving, she said. Sit down. You can't keep me here. Watch me. Their eyes locked. Two people who had spent 15 years being stubborn at each other, and neither had gotten better at it. You don't know me, Zara said cold. You don't get to tell me what to do. You're right. I don't know you. Not anymore. He stepped closer. His voice dropped. But I know, you remember me. Something broke behind her eyes just for a second. A tiny crack in the wall she'd kept since she saw him in that restaurant, and it was gone. I have no idea what you're talking about, she said flat. I've never seen you before that night, Zara. The way he said her name made her breath stop. She hadn't told him her name. Not once. His eyes looked in hers, upset and mad and hurting altogether. He stepped forward, and she stepped back until the hospital wall pressed against her back. He leaned in close enough that she could feel the heat coming off him, close enough that the world got small to just them and the hard gap between. How could you not remember me? His voice broke on the last word. Tears, real tears, gathered at the corners of his eyes. He didn't blink them away. This hospital, the bed, the scar on your hand. He looked down at her left wrist. These eyes. Zara held his gaze and said nothing. He pulled the pink scarf from his coat pocket and held it up between them, faded, worn soft with years of touching, folded with great care. What about this? Her eyes got wide. She couldn't stop it. 15 years of habit. 15 years of that scarf meaning safe and hope and the ghost of something she'd never been brave to name. And it wrecked her calm for 1 second. It's yours, isn't it? He asked. She stayed quiet. He stared at her. The anger in his eyes changed to something that looked like sadness, like loss. like a man watching the one thing he'd looked for, refused to be found. Then he turned and walked away, and Zara pressed her back against the hospital wall and pressed her hands over her mouth to keep from crying out, because she remembered everything, every single thing. She remembered the night she'd found him bleeding on the sidewalk, remembered holding pressure on his wound with shaking hands, remembered sitting in that exact chair, in that exact room, watching him breathe, scared that he might stop. She remembered the way he'd looked at her when he woke up, like she was something amazing, something he hadn't earned, but really wanted to deserve. She even kind of remembered the scarf slipping from her wrist and landing in his hand. She remembered everything, but how could she let him know that? Going back into his world meant danger, real danger, the kind that followed you and took you whole. Her family had already paid that price once. She couldn't let them pay it again. All she needed was money, enough to clear her dad's debt, enough to make her mum's future safe, enough to send her brother to school. That was it. That was all she needed from the world. She didn't need him, even though every part of her body was yelling that she did. Over the next week, Woojin's men gave a full file on Zara's life to his office. Every debt, every lender, every money shark who had a part of her. The total came to just over 500 million won. He read through it twice. Then he called his security head. "I want to pay all of it," he said. "Sir, that's..." Did I stutter? A pause. "Do you want us to talk to her about it?" Woojin leaned back in his chair. The pink scarf was wrapped around his left hand. He looked at it for a long time. "No, I have a better plan," he finally said. 3 days later, Zara got a phone call from a job agency she'd never called. The job paid 10 times what she got at Hyjin's top apartment in a week, per hour. She knew it was too good to be real. She knew it like you know the ground is wet before looking. Every feeling she had yelled to hang up. But her dad had another surgery soon, and the landlord called twice this week, and her brother's school forms. He did fees she couldn't pay. She took the job. The first day she showed up at the address and saw who she would work for, she almost turned and walked back to the street. Kim Woo-jin sat behind a huge desk in an office that looked made by someone who hated sunlight. He looked up when she came in and smiled. Not a smirk, not a power thing, a real, warm, totally nice smile that made her tummy drop low. "Welcome aboard," he said, his voice smooth as fancy whiskey. "You did this," she said flat. "I did." He leaned back with the easy sure of a man who never heard no and wouldn't know it if he did. "And before you storm out big, which would be really fun, the pay is real, the paper is real, and the job is..." He stopped, eyes shining with fun. "Well, the job is also real." "What job?" she asked. He slid a folder across the desk. She opened it, read the job info. "Read it again." Her eyes went up to him. "You're joking. I never joke about fine dust." He said it so serious that for half a second she almost believed him. Then that smile curved at the corner of his mouth. "Or about finding fun ways to keep you close to me for 8 hours a day," he finished. The job was, in Zara's words, the most silly thing she had ever seen in her whole life. Personal air clean specialist. She was to go with Woo-jin everywhere with a hand air clean device because he said Hegart super sensitive to fine dust bits, which meant she had to be within 3 feet of him all the time. It meant she couldn't stay away from him. And Woo-jin knew it. The jerk totally knew it. The first week was bad. Zara followed him through meeting rooms and eateries in private talks, holding the device like a tool she wished she could use for real, while he did business like a man who wasn't aware of the pretty black woman following him like a very mad moon. Woojin was never stopping. During a lunch talk with Japanese money people, he leaned over to whisper about the air clean. His lips touched her ear. She shook. He smiled and pulled back like nothing. "Sorry," he said to the money people without stopping eye contact with them. "She's making sure, best breathing." The money people nodded, serious. Zara wanted to throw the air cleaner at his head. He smiled to himself all the time. His small private smiles that he thought she couldn't see. But she could. and they made her want to yell and kiss him at the same time, which was the exact problem. He did it on purpose, be leaning in, the way he'd turn quick and be inches from her face, his eyes going to hers with a look that was half fun, half something much darker, the way he'd reach past her for something close enough that she could feel his warmth and hold for just a bit too long before pulling back. In the lift after the meeting, she finally snapped. "You're doing this on purpose," she said after he'd leaned in for the 4th time in an hour, saying to check the air cleaner's battery. "Doing what?" He turned to face her full, and suddenly the lift felt very small. "I'm just making sure you're doing your job right. You are paid to keep air clean within a 3-foot circle. That needs closeness." The way he said closeness should have been against rules. "You must be enjoying this," she said. "Oh, you have no idea," he said without shame. "You're hard to take, so I've been told. Usually in worse words," he added. I can imagine he tilted his head, looking at her with that look, the one that made her forget for scary seconds why she was supposed to hate him, the one that made heat go through her blood. She looked away first. She always looked away first, and every time she did, something showed on his face. Something quiet and happy, like a man watching a clock go closer to a time he'd waited for. The job took them everywhere. Board meetings in towers so high the clouds pressed on the windows. Private dinners where men in costly suits talked about money in voices just above whispers. Late-night drives through Seoul where the city blurred past like a bright dream, and Woo Jin sat next to her in the back seat, close enough that their shoulders touched, saying nothing, which the bad part of her brain kept whispering was just how he wanted it. She caught herself watching him one afternoon during a meeting she was supposed to be invisible at. He was mid-sentence making some point about papers, and the way the light hit the side of his face made something twist hard in her chest. Not mad, something much worse. He glanced at her, caught her staring. She snapped her eyes forward and held the air cleaner so hard her knuckles hurt. When the meeting ended and they were alone in the lift, he leaned against the wall with arms crossed, and looked at her with that face. "You were staring," he said. "I was not." 45 seconds I counted. "You're making it up, possibly." The corner of his mouth lifted. "But my making up has never been this clear before. What were you thinking about? How much longer this silly job lasts?" Liar. The doors opened. Zara walked out without answering, but her hands were shaking, and she knew he'd seen because he didn't say another word for the rest of the evening. Just watched her quiet, the way a man watches when he already knows how. The story ends, and is just waiting for the other to catch up. He had already waited 15 years, what was a little more. It kept happening, little moments that built like blocks. Him holding a door and letting his hands stay on the small of her back a bit too long. Leaning in during a crowded event to say something. Quiet, his breath warm on her ear, and pulling back with that smile. The one that said, "I know exactly what I'm doing to you." Then Kim Woo Jin's dad called. It was an evening in late October. Woo Jin was at his office checking shipping lists when his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. The name made his jaw tight. Kim Jun. Father. He hadn't talked to the man in 3 years, not since the last time Jae-hoon tried to get back in Woo Jin's life. Using his son's new empire like a bug finding a new spot, Woo Jin had closed that door hard and forever, but the man had found another way in. Woo Jin answered, said nothing, just waited. "I know about the African girl," his dad said right away. His voice was the same as always. Smooth, bossy, no warmth. "I know who her dad is." Woo Jin's face didn't change. He leaned back in his chair, totally calm. "How interesting. And don't play games with me, boy. You know what that family means? Or they know. What her dad knows about our past stuff. Your past stuff." Woo Jin fixed, his voice like soft over metal. "I wasn't aware you were still thinking. Your mess is my worry. It becomes your worry when I have papers," his dad said cold. "Signed deals, money moves, all with your name from when you were 18, before the empire fell, before you became whatever you think you are now." Woo Jin's fingers tightened a bit on the phone. "You were still using the family name." Then, June went on, and there was happy in his voice now. Still getting from the links. Still taking money from those stuff. The law doesn't care. You were young. Plot charges don't have age stops for 18-year-olds. Quiet. Ah, there it is. His dad's voice was almost warm now. Winning. I cap copies. Safety, I called it. Everything that ties you to what happened to that driver, to other things. Some of those papers have your sign, Ujin, your writing. Okay for payments that funded the thing that put her dad in hospital. You faked, did I? A cold laugh. Are you sure? Because I remember a very eager 18-year-old who wanted to show himself to his dad, who signed what I put without reading, who was so desperate to be serious that he okayed moves he didn't get. Ujin's jaw tight so hard he could hear his teeth. So here's what's going to happen, Jaehoon said, his voice hard again. You're going to end it with the girl quiet, forever. And in trade, those papers stay hidden. If you say no, if you try to come after me, those papers go straight to the law people. And when they do, it won't just be me that falls. It'll be you. Everything you built, the Dragon Brotherhood, all of it. It stopped. Let it sink in. And that girl you're so stuck on, she'll watch you go to jail for wrecking her dad. Think of that talk, Wu Jin. Think looking her in the eyes when she finds out you signed the papers that okayed the attack on her family. That you're not just the son of the monster, you are part of it. Wu Jin said nothing. His mind was already going fast, thinking, running every way. You have 48 hours, his dad said. Walk away from her, or I send everything to the law and to her. Let's see if she still loves you when she knows the truth. The line went dead. Wu Jin sat in the quiet of his office for a long time. The pink scarf, still wrapped around his left hand from habit, felt heavier than it should. His dad wasn't joking. That was the problem. The papers were real. Wu Jin remembered signing at 18, remembered being so desperate to prove, to be serious, that he'd okayed moves and payments without asking what for. His dad had used him as a shield, a backup. If those papers came out, the bad would be huge, not just for Wu Jin's empire, but for Zara. She would know. She would see his sign on the papers that wrecked her family. And no matter how much he said, he didn't know that he'd been tricked, that he was 18 and dumb and desperate for his dad's okay. The truth was still truth. His name was on those papers. But Kim Woo-jin hadn't built an empire by taking the losing side. He had two choices: walk away from Zara and keep everyone safe, or find a way to stop his dad and wreck the proof before the man could do it. He already knew which one he was picking. He just had to move fast. He pressed the talk button. He'd get me everything on my dad. Every friend, every contact, every hold he thinks he has, and every bad thing he's hidden. I want it in 6 hours, not 48, he demanded. Sir, did I stutter? He shot back. No, sir. 6 hours, and I need our best faker, the one we used for the Bizan deal. I don't care what he's doing or where. Get him here tonight. Understood. One more thing. Wu Jin's voice went very quiet, very calm. Find out where my dad keeps his safety papers, safe boxes, storage, hidden spots, everything. I want to know every place he could have put copies. Sir, if he's been planning this for years, then we have 6 hours to undo years of planning. Wu Jin leaned back in his chair. His face was totally calm, almost peaceful. I didn't build this empire by taking loss. I'm certainly not going to lose it or hurt a desperate old man with dreams of power. He hung up. Kim Woo-jin had just started war, and he planned to win. 2 weeks into Zara's job, everything came to a point. Woo-jin had a late meeting at his private office, the kind that went past midnight. Zara stood in the corner holding the device while he finished a phone call in fast Korean. His coat was off, sleeves up, hair a bit messy from hands through it. He looked less like a mafia boss and more like someone she really wanted to touch. She hated herself for seeing. He hung up and turned to her. The office was dim. The city glowed beyond the big windows, painting him in yellow and shadow. You can put that down, he said quiet. The dust isn't going anywhere at this hour. Zara set the cleaner on the side table, but didn't move Tolliver. Her legs felt weird, unsteady. Most people in your spot would have quit by now, he said. Most people aren't paid what you're paying me. True. Something changed in his voice. Quieter, more serious. But that's not the only reason you're still here, is it? Zara didn't answer. She just looked at him. Really looked past the jokes and charm and built walls. The man she'd been in love with since she was 16. You should go home, she said. Her voice came out, softer than she meant. So should you. Neither moved. He stood slow, crossed the room to her, with that not rushed, on-purpose step. Stopped. Close. Closer than needed. Close enough she could smell his perfume. Zara. He said her name like always. Like it was something so breakable it could snap. Don't. The word came out before she could stop. Barely a whisper. Don't what? Whatever you're about to do, don't. And what do you think I'm about to do? There it was. The corner of his mouth lifting a bit. You think I don't see what you're doing? The leaning in. The way you look at me. The way you say my name. You're trying to get a reaction. Is it working? He asked. You're impossible. You haven't answered the question. They were inches apart now. His eyes went to her mouth and back to her eyes, and the look in them made her chest hurt for real. I remember, she said. The words fell out like something she'd held under water and couldn't keep down. The moment they were out, the air changed. Woojin went totally still. Say that again, he said, his voice barely heard. I know who you are. Her eyes were burning, tears pushing. I knew the moment I saw you in that restaurant. I knew when you followed me into that back room. I knew when you brought me to that hospital. I've always known. Her voice broke. He stared at her, and for the first time since she'd known him, Kim Woo-jin looked totally broken. The mask, the control, the strong calm gone. Why did you pretend? He asked. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared. The tears fell now. She didn't wipe them. Because your world wrecked my family once, and I couldn't let it happen again. Because all I needed was to make enough money to save my dad and keep my family safe. I didn't need you. I didn't need this. She pressed her hand on her chest over her heart. But I wanted you, she whispered. I wanted you so badly it was killing me every single day. Every time he smiled at me, every time he said my name, said, I wanted you and I hated myself for it. Because wanting you was the most dangerous thing I had ever done. Woojin closed the gap in one step and kissed her. Not soft, not careful. With 15 years of searching and waiting and holding a faded pink scarf in his hand at 3 o'clock in the morning and not giving up. Zara kissed him back with same strength. Her hands found his face, his neck, his shoulders. She pulled him closer and he went arms around her. When they finally stopped, both breathing hard, heads together, Woojin laughed, a quiet, not believing sound. You impossible woman, he said. You amazing, stubborn, impossible woman. Shut up, Zara, said and kissed him again. They did not cross that line that night. They almost did. Close enough that Woojin had her against his desk, her arms around him, his face in the curve of her neck, his hold firm enough to make her lose every smart thought. But he stopped. He pulled back slow, like it took effort, chest up and down fast, his look strong and heavy with feeling he was trying to control. Not like this, he said rough. Not when you think I'm just trying to own you, aren't you? Yes, he didn't lie, he didn't pretend. But I'm also trying to love you, and I need you to know the difference. He kissed her forehead, soft, respectful, totally different from the fire still in his eyes. That night changed everything. Not just the close touch, though that was bad in its way. It was the talk after, the way they lay mixed in the dim light of his office, her head on his chest, his hand drawing slow shapes on her back, and talked, really talked, for the first time. He told her about the years after the attack, the low jobs, the slow, hard climb. From nothing, the way he'd held the pink scarf like a lucky thing, a reminder why he did it. She told him about Nigeria, how they'd never left, about the years in the poor part of Seoul when hiding from his family's reach. about her dad's endless surgeries, about the debt that grew like a thing alive, eating itself, getting bigger, no matter how much she paid. I thought, if I just worked hard enough, she said quiet, I could outrun it. You can't outrun debt like that. His hand still on her back. But you don't have to anymore. Wu Jin, she began. I'm handling it. All of it, everyone, every lender. Consider it done. He cut her off. I can't let you. You can, and you will. He tilted her chin up so she looked at him. This isn't giving. This is me fixing what my family broke. I owe your family this. I owe your dad this. But I owe you 15 years of not being in your life, which is a debt I will spend the rest of mine trying to pay. She wanted to argue. Every feeling built over years of living alone told her to say no, to keep her own way, to never be that open again. But looking at him then, she saw something new in him. Not power, not boss, just a man asking for a chance to make right. So she let him. The dating started slow, careful, like two people handling something breakable they both wanted to keep whole. Their first real date was at a small eatery in Hongdae. Nothing like the fancy places Wu Jin usually went. He wore jeans and a simple black sweater and looked almost normal, almost regular. Zara wore a yellow dress that made his breath stop when she walked to him, and he told her so straight without his usual jokes. You look beautiful, he said. Just that. No joke, no change. She smiled, and it was like watching the sun after a 15-year storm. They talked for 4 hours about everything, about nothing, about the silly job he'd made to keep her close, and how she'd wanted to throw the air cleaner at his head at least 12 times. Only 12? He asked, really surprised. I was aiming for 20. You're lucky I have good control. She rolled her eyes. I'm lucky in general. Tonight, especially. He winked. She kicked him under the table. He laughed, open and warm. They went on more dates, quiet walks by the water at night, late dinners that became early mornings, long talks in his top apartment, where Zara curled on his sofa with a blanket and tea while he worked, and he kept looking at her every few minutes, like checking she was there. She was always there. Meanwhile, Wu Jin moved quiet and good to take apart Zara's debt. His men called every lender, paid every left amount, talked deals where the sums had grown too big. Within 3 weeks, the number went from 500 million won to 0. He didn't tell Zara, not straight. He had his men set for her dad to move to one of Seoul's best private hospitals. The best doctors, best plan, all covered, no asks. Zara found out when her mom called, crying so hard she could barely talk. Someone paid for everything, her mom said through tears. The hospital says it's all taken care of. All the debts, all of it. Who did this? Who would do something like this? Zara already knew. She hung up and sat quiet for a long time, looking at nothing, feeling something huge and scary and great, growing in her chest. That night, she went to Wu Jin's top apartment and found him on the balcony looking at the city with a glass of whiskey. She didn't say anything, just walked up and leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you, she whispered. He kissed the top of her head. It wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough, but it's a start. Her dad began to get better, slow, steady, with right care and meds and doctors who knew what to do. 3 weeks later, Wu Jin's mom called. There's a dinner tomorrow night. She said, you need to come with Lee Hai-jin. It's important to finish the engagement. An A hit like a slap. When he told Zara, her blood went cold. Who is she? The woman my family has tried to set a marriage with for 5 years. Our families started planning our wedding when we were 6, he answered. Marriage. Zara's face fell. It's a business setup. My mom and her family have planned it to save my dad's job, but it means nothing. I've been avoiding it for 5 years. Wu Jin said to make her feel better. And now I'm going to end it. His jaw tight. But my mom invited business friends. Hai-jin's family, half of Seoul's fancy people. It's made to push me in public. He pulled Zara close. I want you there with me. The dinner was everything, Wu Jin said. Fancy, power play, hard to breathe. They came together, Woojin's hand owning on the small of Zara's back. Every eye turned to them. His mum stood near the table head, pretty and cold as ice. Next to her, Lee Hai-jin, beautiful in the planned way of women raised to marry power. She looked at Zara like furniture. "Woojin," his mum said sharp. "You're late, and you brought a guest." "I brought my girlfriend," Woojin fixed, his tone nice, his eyes not. "Mother, this is Zara." "Zara, my mother," and Lee Hai-jin. The room went quiet. Hai-jin got back first, holding out her hand with trained grace. "How nice to meet you. I'm sure this must be mixed up for you." "Not really," Zara said, shaking her hand. Woojin told the situation. "The business setup your families want. Do-woon-hee has no interest in." A flash of surprise on Hai-jin's face, then her smile got tight. "RC's been open always," Woojin said. The dinner was hidden fight dressed as good food. Hai-jin's dad made small comments about good pairs and keeping family stuff. Mum brought up old family links and duties, and through it, Woojin stayed calm, almost bored. His hand found Zara's under the table and stayed. Finally, Hai-jin's dad talked to him straight. "Your mom says you've been slow to finish this setup. Woojin, surely you'd get good our pair would bring. The trade paths, the power links, the bringback of your dad's spot in people." Woojin set down his chopsticks, took a slow sip of wine, let the quiet grow. "Let me be clear about something." Mr. He's voice was ice in silk. "I don't need your trade paths. I've built my own. I don't need your power links. I have better, and as for bringing back my dad's spot," he leaned back in his chair, his smile nice, his voice bad. "That's your family's worry, not mine. The setup you're talking would help your business and my parents' pride. It would do nothing for me except tie me to a woman I don't love, don't want, and have never chased." He went on cold. The table went super quiet. "Woojin," his mum hissed. "That's the truth." He stood, pulling Zara up with him. "And since we're honest, I'll save time. The answer's no. It's always been no, and it will always be no. Find another way to bring back Dad's job. Best one that doesn't use my life." He turned to Zara. "We're leaving." They made it halfway to the door before Hai-jin spoke. "Is it because of her?" Woojin stopped, turned slow. "Excuse me." Hai-jin stood, her calm finally breaking. "You'll know. Is it because of her?" Zara felt Woojin's whole body go stiff next to her. "Be very careful," he said quiet. "How you finish that?" But Hai-jin was past caring. "My family has waited 5 years. 5 years of being told, not yet, and be patient, and time not right. And now, you bring this woman like some statement." "She's not a statement." Woojin's voice dropped to scare it. "She's the woman I love, which is more than you'll ever be." He took Zara's hand. "Let's go." They left too shocked, quiet. In the lift, Zara finally breathed out. "That was late." Woojin finished. He pulled her to him, kissing hard. "I should have done that years ago. Your mom will kill you. Probably worth it." He kissed again. "You're worth everything." But 2 days later, everything broke. Zara was leaving her apartment when a black car stopped next to her. The window went down. Kim Jun looked just like his son would in 30 years. Same sharp face, same thinking eyes. But where Woojin's strong came from, wanton smart, his dad's came from desperate and losing power. "Get in," he said. "No, I wasn't asking." The back door opened. 2 men in suits stepped out. Not scary, just there. A reminder she had a choice. But only one smart Zara got in the car. They drove quiet to a building she didn't know. Top floor, corner office. The kind that used to mean something before Kim Jun's empire fell. He sat behind his desk and looked at her with cold check. "You're prettier than I thought," he said. "I can see why my son is busy. If this is about the dinner, this is about my son's future, which you are putting in danger." He leaned forward. "Your dad knows what I did to him, what I can do, and right now the only thing keeping him safe is my son's crush on you." Zara's blood went cold. "But if you don't leave," June went on, "if you don't go away tonight, I will finish what I started. Your dad won't just end in hospital this time. He'll end in the ground, and no one to save him. He slid an envelope across. The desk says a flight to Lagos tonight at 9 o'clock. Your family's names on it. All of you. First class. And enough money to start over. Safe. And if I say no, then I make a call. And by morning, your dad has an accident no amount of money can fix. He opened a folder. Photos of dad, her mum, her brother walking to market, going to hospital, doing life, not knowing. Watched. I know where they are, every moment, every day. And I have people who don't ask. They just do. The folder closed soft. You have until tonight. June said, too smart. Zara made it back to her apartment on Otta. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her mind went through choices, ways, outs. There weren't any. Jaehoon made that clear. She called her mum, told her to pack tonight. Emergency. No questions. Then she started packing her own stuff, like a machine, one thing at a time. Her phone buzzed. Woojin, dinner tonight? I'm cooking. And by cooking, I mean ordering from that place you like. She stared at the message until blurry she couldn't tell him. If she told, he'd try to stop. And if he tried, Jaehoon would do it. Her dad would die. She typed back, can't deny, sorry. 3 dots showed right away. When away showed again. Everything okay? Fine. Just tired. Liar. I'm coming over. No. I need space tonight. Please. A long stop. Then, I'll keep a call later. She didn't answer. She finished packing, called a cab, made sure her mum did same. At 8:30, she was at Enchan Airport with 2 bags and a family who didn't get why fleeing at night. What's happening? Her brother asked. Why leaving like this? I'll explain on plane, Zara said. She couldn't explain. Didn't know how. They checked in, passed check, went to gate, and Zara felt like dying. Every step from Seoul was step from Woojin, from the life they just built, from the man she loved, so full, it hurt real. They reached the gate, boarding in 20 minutes. Zara sat and stared at phone. No messages, no calls. He was giving space, like, she should be thankful. She felt like yelling. 15 minutes to boarding. 10 minutes. 5. Final call for flight 582. To Lagos. Her mum stood. Zara, let's go. Zara stood on legs like water. This was it. The end again. They moved to Gayton. Then the airport went dark. Not full, but screens flickered. Gate shows went blank. A voice over speakers in Korean, then English. Attention passengers. We have a short system problem. All flights delayed. Please stay in gate area. Zara's heart stopped. No, no, no. He didn't. He couldn't have. Excuse me. She turned. Woojin stood, 10 feet away, hands in pockets, looking at her with face half mad, half heartbreak. Going somewhere? He asked, quiet. The airport was mess around them, people complaining, gate workers trying to fix, security moving through, and Woojin stood, still in Sentinel, looking like she stabbed him. How did you? Zara started. How did I shut down whole airport? A bitter laugh. Because when the woman I love tries to leave country without telling, I use everything I have to stop her, including calling favors that will take years to pay back. He took a step closer. What happened? What did he say to you? Woojin, my dad. I know he called you. My people said you were seen getting in his car this afternoon. Another step. What did he threaten? Zara's calm broke. He said he'd kill my dad. That if I didn't leave tonight, he'd finish what started, and you couldn't stop. And you believed. He had photos. He's watching us. He knows where they are every second. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to come to me. His voice got loud first time. Other people staring. He didn't care. You were supposed to trust me. I was trying to keep you safe. I don't need keeping safe. I need you. He closed gap, took her face in hands. Don't you get? He has no power. None. The only reason he's alive is I lit it. I feed him. I pay his place. I pay his whole life. He's a doll that I haven't cut strings on yet. Tears down Zara's face, but furthers nothing. Scare. Same trick 40 years. But doesn't Work when person you scare has more power. His thumbs wipe tears. I own this city, Zara. Every bit. No move he can make I don't know. No threat he can do I can't. Sob, you're sure? I'm sure. He kissed forehead. Soft. Gentle. I'm so damn sure I just shut down whole airport to show you. She laughed. Came out as cry. You're crazy. About you. Yes. He pulled back to look in eyes. But I need you to get something. My dad doesn't control my life. He doesn't say who I love. It doesn't threaten your family. And it doesn't make you run. What you going to do? She asked. I'm going to make sure he never threatens anyone I love. Ever again. The heart in his voice total. But first, taking you home where you belong. He took her hand, led away from gate, from flight, from run that never was possible. Behind, Zara's mom watched wide eyes. Is that her brother Star, the man I told you about? Zara's mom finished. She smiled. The one taking care of us. He just shut down airport for her, her brother said. Odd, yes. Her mom picked bags. I think we're fine. Sis sends back 20 minutes later. By then, Zara in Woo Jin's car going back to Seoul, while his people handled family bags and set them back to apartments safe. I'm sorry, she said quiet. Don't sorry for scared. His hand found hers. Sorry for not trusting me to handle. I'm sorry for not trusting you to handle. Better. He brought her hand to lips. Kissed knuckles. Don't do again. What now with your dad? Now. Woo Jin's smile cold. Now I remind him what happens when he touches things mine. Kim Jun eating dinner alone when Woo Jin walked in apartment. Didn't knock. Didn't say. Just walked with key. Never gave back. And stood in door while dad looked up, surprised. Woo Jin, I didn't expect. Of course not. Because you thought I wouldn't find what you did. Woo Jin went to table. Sat across dad. You threatened her. Jae-hoon set chopsticks down. I did what needed. He did what's stupid, desperate, and no point. Woo Jin leaned back. Let me explain. Apartment you in, I pay. Food you eat, I bought. Clothes on, back. Phone in pocket. Air you breathe here. All exists because I let. I'm your dad. You're a man who wrecked innocent family to save career. Who planted proof. Who made fake papers. Who lived off my giving 14 years while pretending power. Woo Jin's voice. Ice, you don't. He pulled phone. Showed dad's screen. Bank accounts frozen. As of 20 minutes ago, every account you have locked. Apartment end month. Your money gone. Jae-hun's face white. You can't. I can. I did. And unless you want rest, life explaining to law why photos of innocent family you stalked for bad reasons. You do what I say. He leaned forward. You leave Seoul tonight. Retirement. Place in Busan with your name. Small. Simple. Paid. Enough to live. Not nice. Not like used, but live. Woo Jin said. And if you ever, mean ever, contact Zaha, family, or anyone I care again, I release every proof on you, every crime, every lie, every fake paper, and make sure you spend years left in jail. Quiet. Do we get each other? Jae-hoon stared at son, bigger than he ever had. Yes, he said quiet. We get good. Woo. Woo Jin stood. Car here an hour. Be ready. He walked out, no look back. In hall, Pool phoned, called Zara. It's done, he said, when answered. Done. He leaves Seoul tonight. Won't bother you or family again. Long stop. Then thank you. Don't thank. Just come home. I am home. He heard smile in voice. I'm at your place. Our place. Our place. Words did something to chest. I'll be 20 minutes, he said. I'll wait. When Woo Jin walked in, top apartment, Zara curled on sofa, with blanket and tea. Looked up when entered. Smiled. That smile haunted 15 years. He crossed the room, pulled her in arms. I love you, he said. Simple, like fact. First time either said out loud. Zara's face did something new. Every wall down. Every defense gone, instant. He just didn't have words till now. He kissed her. Soft. Gentle. Like making promise. Never run from me again, he whispered on mouth. Never give reason to, she whispered back. They stayed long. Two people found each other against all hard odds, haul in like never let go, because they weren't. 3 months later, her dad left. Hospital Tuesday. Full get better. Amazing, doctors said. Zara brought him to new apartment. 3 rooms, windows with real sun, kitchen big to cook. Right, Woojin said it, of course. And that evening, Woojin came meet dad right, not as son of man, who wrecked, as man who loved daughter. Sat in the living room, talked hour. Woojin didn't sorry for dad, sorry for self, for boy he was, for not seeing around. Zara's dad listened, nodded. You're not your dad, he said, and my daughter chose you. That's enough for me. Later night Zara and Woojin walked by water. Water black and shiny under. Site hummed. You know, Woojin said, for someone who spent 15 years pretending know me, you're bad at hiding how you feel. And for someone who spent 15 years searching me, you're bad at hiding obsessed, she said. Kilty took hand, fingers through hers, but not interested hiding anymore. Walked comfy quiet while. Think we find each other eventually? Zara asked. Even without this, Woojin thought serious, then looked at think. I find you any life, he said. Any city, any story version, because you're only who looked me, saw worth finding. Zara stopped, turned him toes, kissed soft. 15 years, she said, on mouth worth every one. And it was walked home through soul night, hands together, pink scarf on Zara's wrist, catching streetlight. 2 survived all world through. 2 finally found way home each other. If this story pulled you, if heart raced, airport shut down or breath held, when Woojin went apartment face dad, don't forget like Vimeo, because you're exactly where meant. From near losses, dangerous family secrets, power plays, impossible choices to moment to choose each after 15 years. This only starts stories we tell. If love, intense romance, powerful men burn world for woman love, strong women survive all life throws, need be community. Sure like, video, subscribe, Afro-Korean romance stories. Turn notifications, never miss next story because trust, next take even more thrilling. Tell comments, which moment shocked most, airport shutdown, dinner fight, or when Woojin chose love, over legacy. I read comments. I see you, your reason stories keep. Welcome, Afro-Korean romance stories. Welcome home.